Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Some call it the home of motorsports. I think everyone would agree with us on that. I am Aaron Smith, and you join us here for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Not actually using the big old layout, unfortunately. I think all of us would love to see that. I think it would be very much entertaining. DJ Clark, I'm sure, would agree with me there. And probably Samuli Kumar in the production booth also would love to see these 3.5s going around the Nordschleife at full pelt. But unfortunately, we're not going to see that today, so we're stuck on the normal layout. But I'm sure we're going to have some absolutely fantastic racing for you all today, aren't we, Clark?
Yeah, we most certainly are. Plenty of great places to overtake around here. The draft is going to be in very, very tall order to be able to tuck up behind, and plenty of places to get it wrong. A lot of these slippery, relatively fast chicanes mean we're going to be dealing with a lot of aero wash in these Formula 3.5 machines, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how everybody's going to sort themselves out once they get themselves onto the grid.
Yeah, I think at the moment, field fairly close in qualifying at the moment. The top 5 separated by less than 1/10 of a second. And it just goes to show that, yeah, this is a fairly long track, 1 minute 40 in these 3.5 cars. And even longer in the likes of Formula 3, nearly 2 minutes a lap. And yeah, even though it's a long track, not actually that much difference in terms of the way that you can take it compared to a track like Imola or maybe some of the other tracks we've been to this season. And yeah, around this track, the only real difference that you're going to make is probably this final few corners. Actually, that chicane is crucial, as if you ever so slightly mess up that braking zone and tumble into the curbs, then it's your lap over and done with. As Yukimi Hara crosses the line to go onto pole position at the moment. I believe he is the last driver to set a lap. We will wait and see if anyone else can set a lap time with only 20 seconds to go. Daniel Gallas, I'm not sure he's going to quite make it, so at this point he's just running for the fun of it. But good lap there by Hara to stick it onto pole position for now.
Yeah, and some very close gaps up at the top. Indeed, the top few really only separated by a couple of hundredths of a second here. Hara's time there only 1.6 or 0.16 tenths of a second above. So I think we're in for some close running, as there the checkered flag does fly, and that means we're ready to grid up for our 23-lap feature event.
Yeah, I think we've got an absolute treat, hopefully, on for us today. We've got a pretty full grid, 21 cars here today, and it is Yukimi Hara on pole position. Not really seen much of him at all this season, but congratulations to him anyway. I'm Keeman, lines up alongside Sergio Macias in third, Marlon Mordan in fourth place, Eddie Zamborski down in fifth, the veteran of this series, Omar Baha in sixth place, Eric Werzymski in seventh place, Dennis Furkheim in eighth, Benjamin Bartel in ninth, and Denny Cornu in 10th place, Cal Young in 11th, James Byrne in 12th to round up your top 12 for today's race. Then the bottom half of the grid, we have Valero Tavares in 13th, Quentin Vandora 14th, Luke Brooker 15th, Takashi Shindoi in 16th, Jay Lawrence in 17th, Yuki Shirakawa all the way down in 18th compared to last week on pole position. Enis Akin in 19th and Anders Vabin in 20th, and your only man to not set a lap time, Daniel Gallas, down in 21st. Sure, he's going to be wanting to make up some time after just missing out on actually getting a lap time in. I'm sure if he had maybe 5 seconds, he would have been able to. But as we just sit here and wait for the last few drivers, Eddie Zamborski included, just to line up on the grid, we got fourth place Morden as well, just waiting for him to line up, and Tavares in 13th place. And yeah, we're just waiting for Morden now to press race, as I'm sure he's maybe just having a quick sip, making sure all the setups are ready to go as we patiently wait for him. You can see the empty grid spot just behind Sergio Macias, just waiting for him, maybe starting from the pits. Nope. We've got all 21 cars now lined up on the starting finish straight. We're just waiting for the lights to go out now, as we got 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. We're away here in Nürburgring. Hara gets off to a fantastic start. So does Macias. Keeman kind of bogged down off of the start. We head down into turn 1. And that's Macias getting a little bit of a squeeze from Keeman, but just manages to hold on to second place for now. And Keeman, not the best of starts, but hasn't fallen back too much. He's now just going to have to sit there in third place as we head through this first sector. It seems relatively clean so far. All the mid-pack kind of shuffling around for position, as it's a very tight squeeze coming out of turn 4. Yuki Shirakawa already up 6 places from where he started. And as we come to the end of this first sector, he's going to go for another one. Very, very close with James Byrne, and he's tapped him. And just about kept it on the track to James Byrne. But yeah, good start from Yuki so far.
Yeah, Yuki really on the aggressive here early on, and it looks like James Byrne going to lose another position there as we've got some contact in front. That's Young around and off into the kitty litter.
Yeah, didn't quite see what happened to him there. I don't know if he made contact with anyone there. I think he might have gotten a tap from someone. We're going to get a replay of that as we come down into the chicane. He's not near anyone at the moment. I'm going to guess he did just lose it by himself. And, oh, that's a very strange spin. I think he just getting on throttle there. I think he might have accidentally just gave it a little bit too much of a bootful. And he's got some work to do, and that's a huge crash. Can he keep it out of the wall? No, he's going straight in there. And that's coming down to the final chicane, and that's Tavares. And he's going to have a lot of damage on that car. And that's a real shame for him on a straight as well. Bit of an awkward crash there. As Hara still in the lead of the race, the number 20 car. Not seen much of him at all this season. Well, I don't actually think we've seen him at all, and he's absolutely blasted onto the scene and is running away with it.
Yeah, he's got a gap here of about 1.3 seconds over Macias behind him. Macias under a little bit of attack here from Keeman. There could be a little bit of an attack if he wants it, but I think Keeman lost a little bit of running there coming out of the AMG Arena section. And this is where that aero wash that I talked about earlier is really going to come into play, coming down through Valvoline and Ford, through these corners, these medium to high-speed corners. So much turbulent air being put off on from the drivers behind us. Zamborski finds himself in a little bit of an attack here from Morden.
Yeah, Zamborski at the moment has jumped his French fellow driver and is going fairly strong at the moment. We would usually expect a little bit more from Zamborski, but nevertheless, he's got a long time to try and make up places. And of course, we know how good Zamborski is. Pretty much been on top of everyone who's tried to beat him I want to say over the past 2-3 years that we've been doing this, and yeah, it's sometimes it can obviously be a little bit tingy to watch him just run away with it, but sometimes you just got to appreciate how good the man is. But so far, he's doing well, and that's Takashi Shindoi and Vaben in the gravel. Not exactly where they want to be. We're going to get a quick replay of what happened between these guys. I think Takashi... Actually, I was gonna. Okay. I was correct. I was gonna say I think maybe there was a mistake from Vaben in front, but no, I just think Takashi wasn't expecting Vaben to brake so early and just ran into the back of him.
Yeah, it looked there a little bit like Vebin may have had a little bit of a wiggle coming out of the Michelin curve, and that could have caused him to slow down a little bit. And as you said, Shindoi just nowhere to go, absolutely into the side. As we check right now, Daniel Gallus in the number 18 trying to get a little bit of a move done here on Vandura right up ahead of him. He's in close running. Cal Young not too far behind as well, and Aiken also could make it. Bit of an interesting line there, it has to be said, for Gallus. That's going to open up the door here for Cal Young coming down into Valvoline.
Yeah, I'd say interesting is one way to put it, as Cal Young sneaks up the inside, and I think Gallus wasn't really going to fight that. Good, clean overtake from Cal Young, the British and Irish drivers. I was about to compliment him, but never mind. I think Gallus is going to have that position back coming into the hairpin. And yeah, just sneaks on by. Excuse me, just stuffing up a burp right now, can't seem to get it out. But Cal Young there just... I don't really know what happened there. I think he kind of got the overtake done and then just kind of got carried away with himself, but he's not going to give this one up. Not the best overtaking spot into there. He's going to get that nice slipstream all the way down this back straight into the final chicane. I think there's been some shuffling further up the grid as Zamborski makes his way into third place. And yeah, Mordan has made a mistake and is slipping down the order. Definitely going to need to get a replay on that and see what happened. But so far, Harris setting another fastest lap of the race, a second quicker than Macias behind, and 0.4 of a second quicker than Zamborski, which is not something we get to say very often. But yeah, Mordan now coming into the final chicane, just gonna, oh dear, just completely misses his braking zone and takes to the escape road or the alternative chicane, and definitely has a slowdown to serve. But now he's under pressure from Wazamiski in behind.
Yeah, Warzamiski here is going to be looking to see if he's able to get a little bit of a run here in that last corner, as you said, all crucial to really be able to get the run coming through Coca-Cola and back onto the main straightaway. Here at this point, everybody being a little bit calm, patient, sticking in line. We're only on lap 4 here, still about 20 laps to go. But I'll tell you what here at this point, Eric's got to watch out. Is Cornu right behind him could be looking to make the attack here, as he's been bottled up a little bit. I think Dennis has a good run, but again, he's got to watch out a little bit, because right behind him, that is Benjamin Beratu, who's not far behind as well. A lot of trains out here today, Aaron. That seems to be what's going to be happening, and I'm going to be interested to see as this race goes along if any of these trains break up or if they're going to just stick together courtesy of the draft.
Yeah, Denny Cornu putting on a pretty good performance so far, just up 1 place from where he started in 10th. And as you were saying, this lovely train pretty much all the way down from 5th to where we are looking now in 11th place. Shirakawa now just trying to eye up these guys, as he is definitely wanting to come through the field, as there is a send from Shirakawa, just as I was saying. Moves himself up into 10th place, not quite comfortably ahead though, as Baratu is going to be all over the back of him. I'm not sure actually he's going to be able to fight, or I think Shirakawa may have opened DRS there, which probably was a smart move, going to admit that. I probably would have done the same thing just to bridge the gap between those two. And Shirakawa now moves up into 10th place. He's going well so far, maybe a little bit over optimistic with the tap, I think it was, on James Byrne, and oh dear, that's Baratow who just nearly lost it behind.
Yeah, it looks like he just carried a little bit too much speed coming down into the corner. The rear tires weren't complying. Great car control to be able to keep that in just a 4-wheel drift and keep it pointed the right way. But now Jay Lawrence is going to be the one that's going to be looking to take advantage here on the number 17. Looks like he's a little bit far back at this point, but he's already seen one error out of Baratsu up in front of him. And I think that means he's going to be poking and prodding, trying to find a few more opportunities.
Yeah, Lawrence at the moment up 5 places, so also going well. We're seeing a lot of little comebacks today, which is what we all love to see. And yeah, at the moment, just sticking behind a Baratao at the moment after that mistake that he made coming out of the Mercedes arena. And I think Baratao may have the pace advantage just slightly. But again, we've got a long time to go in this race. And oh, that's a Keyman mistake in the wall. That sentence was all over the place, but nevertheless, he's made a mistake at the final chicane and now is about to fall outside of the top 10. His car seems to be damage-free, but I would love to get a replay on that. I'm guessing maybe on the exit he maybe hit a curb, but we're going to find out for the number 5 driver from the Benelux as we come into the braking zone for the final chicane. Of course, very bumpy on these curves, and yeah, just a tiny little bump unsettled the car just enough to put him into that grass. Not quite in the wall to give him enough damage, but now he's got a lot of ground to make up if he wants to get back up to the places where he wants to be. So now he's defending to stay inside the top 10.
Yeah, he's got to defend for his life here. We talked obviously a little bit earlier about Benjamin Baratsu trying to be able to see if he is able to get a run here on Keyman up in front of him. And yeah, to your point, the curbing around here, this isn't normally a track that we talk about those big sausage curbs like you see at some of the more modern circuits, certainly and some of the older ones as well, like Imola, there you go. But they can really and truly come back to bite in these very tightly wound cars. You've got to be constantly on your game. It's just that little bit of displacement can throw you offline, and especially through that NGK chicane.
Yeah, I do think in these cars as well, coming through that Michael Schumacher S, it is one of the more fun experiences. You can absolutely flat out through there. And there's Keyman just dipping a wheel onto the grass a little bit, going to come under pressure from Baratu behind. Baratu looks to be having a send into this final chicane. Not quite. Oh, that's really awkward. He needed to be very careful there. Good reaction from Jay Lawrence to not run into the back of Baratao. And yeah, that was all a bit of a mess, but no shuffling of positions there, just about. And as we come back to the battle for second place, Eddie Zamborski on the back of Sergio Macias. And Eddie, as we know, has the pace, has the ability to get past very cleanly. We know how consistent and safe of a driver he is, and we'll see what he's able to manage over these coming laps. And he's got a fairly comfortable gap behind from Baha as well, who's under pressure from Furkheim and Mordan for the battle for 4th place. And a little bit further back, Eric Wyzimski in 7th place, Denny Cornu in 8th, and Yuki Shirakawa in 9th place, excuse me, all having their little battles. And as you were saying, these little tiny battles that seem to brew up around the Nürburgring really do provide some different racing that you don't really see anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic circuit. It sort of blends the old and the new, obviously, with Herman Tilke coming in here and doing the rework on it way back in the early 90s to sort of bring this up to spec. I hate to use the term unique racing circuit because I think that's overused a little bit, but really and truly that blend of the old and new style mentalities really does make this a pretty unique circuit and pretty fantastic, not only to the hot lap, but to race. We've seen plenty of good side-by-side here, and we continue to see a good battle with Samborski. And if you watch what he's doing, I really, really like this, Aaron. He's about a quarter of a lane different on either side here of Macias up in front of him. Now that's going to serve two practical effects. Number one is here he goes for the move down to the inside, and he's going to get that good slipstream. This is Samborski on the attack. He's got it done.
Yeah, a fairly textbook move there from Eddie Zamborski. Opened the DRS as well, I saw on his rear wing, just close a little bit down that back straight. And I don't think Macias really fought that one too much, as he sort of knew that he was not as quick as Zamborski, but now it's probably just going to try and follow him through, and maybe they can work together to try and catch up to Yukimi Hara in front, who is having an absolute field day today on, I believe it's his first race of this season. Maybe, I don't know if we've actually seen him before here, but nevertheless, he's having a spectacular race for someone who, you know, we have never seen, doesn't have the highest iRacing, going pretty well so far.
going fantastically, and to your point, he is ranked as the 20th driver in the field. That's what that number 20 indicates. So having that lower I rating, he is performing well and above expectations here at this point. Being able to slice and dice with the likes of Samborski, Macias, Baja, even Furkheim, all of them who are significantly higher rated. And so this could be the little bit of an emergence here of a new name in the Formula 3.5 series in the form of Yukimi Hara. There you can see on your screen the strength of field 4.5. Hara is a 3.4 thousand I rating driver, so he's below that. He's bringing down the average, but it's clearly propping up the timing sheets.
And now, speaking of propping up the timing sheets, here's these two battling for second place. I thought the battle was more or less over with, but Macias not going to give this one up. I think Eddie also may have deployed DRS. I think so. It is very difficult to tell. It's not always entirely obvious, but judging by the straight line speed, and I believe, just looking at the rear wing of these cars, I think Zamborski did open the DRS down that back straight because I think he felt a bit too much pressure from Macias, but I'm surprised Macias actually did attack him. Good on Macias so far to just stick with Zamborski, as I think that gap at the top, that 5 seconds, is almost impossible to breach now, as Hara just seems to get faster and faster.
Yeah, the only thing they can hope for is a mistake out of Hara, as Ventura has a little bit of a problem there coming out of the Mercedes Arena section. He's now going to find himself behind Cal Young, the UKNI driver here in the number 8 machine. A little bit of opposite lines, and that's a little bit what I was talking about for Samborski. You're seeing these drivers moving about a quarter lane off of the traditional driving line. That's going to serve two functions. Number one, it's going to get you in the rear view mirror of that car in front of you and hope to elicit a little bit of a mistake. And number two, it's going to allow you to get just a fraction of clean air on that car, and that's going to help you handle a little bit better through these medium and high-speed corners.
Yeah, I think you see it also sometimes in Formula 1 as well. When a car behind is following, you just kind of dip out of their line just a tiny bit, especially on a track like this where you can do differing lines and it not really have too much of an effect of your speed. And yeah, this is why this track is so good for racing, because you have so many options in lines, and it is a nice and wide track, I'd say, for racing as well. You can go side by side round here very easily, and yeah, sometimes you just want to get a tiny bit of clean air, maybe put the driver in front of you off, make him do anything, maybe force some kind of error, which we've seen a few times in this race. Some drivers maybe giving it too much throttle or locking up, as we even saw Zamborski do it a few laps ago. And yeah, you just really have to play this little mind game, especially in these Formula cars. You don't really see it too often in the likes of GTs.
No, you really don't, and that's a result of all of the downforce working on these cars. As we check in on the battle right now, 4P4. This is Omar Baja leading Dennis Furkheim, and then Marlon Mordan behind them after Mordan's mistakes earlier on. Now, I want to give them credit here, despite the fact that this is looking like a little bit of a battle, courtesy of the battle between Samborski and Macias up ahead of them. This gap has come down, and Baja starting to put his nose into the equation here, starting to put his name into the ring for this battle for the podium positions.
Yeah, these guys have kind of held their own at the moment. They are slowly but surely closing on Macias in front. The gap hasn't actually expired like I thought it would. And Macias just starting to slip away from Zamborski. He's just about still in slipstream range. So I think once he falls out of that, then we're going to have a real battle for the podium positions on our hands between, well, Macias, Baja, Furkheim, and Mordan as well. And if any of these guys start battling, we could see Wierzymski and Cornu in it as well.
Yeah, we certainly could. Plenty of battles here up and down the field as we check in on that battle right now with Cornu and Wierzymski as they now come down. Cornu's got a little bit of a run. Defensive line there from Eric coming down into the corner. He's going to have to go the long way around here on the number 9.
Yeah, if he can make this move stick, that is going to be a very impressive overtake. Coming through turn 2 now, he's just holding on. Is Eric going to send it down into this next few corners? Denny has got a pretty good line. He's defending well. He's placing his car exactly where he wants to be and moves himself up into 7th place. I think that move was brewing for quite a long time, and I think these guys are similar on pace, but I've said that a few times this race and been absolutely wrong, and we'll just see what Denny Cornu can do from here on in, but we're just going to stick with him for a moment as we're just going to honour Denny Cornu's request as his father sadly passed away this morning, and I'm sure all of us watching and everyone back at Apex Racing, yeah, we just like to say that Denny, all thoughts are with you, mate, and we all hope that you and your family get through this tough time, and we truly, truly hope that you and your family can find peace. And yeah, just from everyone here at Apex, we wish you well.
Indeed, most certainly, and Denny doing a good job here. Looks like he's building a little bit of a gap over Eric at this point, so clearly driving a good race here, pulling away here a little bit and starting to look ahead up the road, although he is going to have 5 whole seconds to try to gain in on Mordan. I think that may be a little bit out of touch unless we see a mistake here out of any of those drivers battling up for the top 5. But here, speaking of that battle, Mordan and Furkheim, that may have been a little coming together.
Yeah, Mordan didn't really give, well, Furkheim any space whatsoever on the exit of turn 1, kind of just forced him onto the outside line, and, well, there's the payback. He's got front wing damage, and that is going to affect his cornering and straight line speed. And yeah, it's difficult to say if that was karma or not. We might have to get a little bit of a replay to see what happened. I think something's happened further behind, and that's Baratel off the track.
And that is in a little bit of a precarious position. I'm surprised he hasn't taken a tow yet. It looks like he's going to try to get himself back going around. Now, that's on the exit there, I believe, of the AMG Arena. Kind of just did a little bit of a reset there, and Baratsu's going to be back out on track. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, you got Keeman behind, and you just see Barato a little bit further up, just loses it, and little overcorrection, and yeah, excuse me once again. Yeah, unfortunate bystander there. Keeman had nowhere to go, and yeah, I think we have another car off. That's Furkheim.
Oh, another one up from that leading pack. The Nürburgring coming back to bite on all of these drivers. Furkheim just trying to be able to keep it going. He looks like he's going to rejoin here at about 9th place. He's going to be under pressure from Jay Lawrence with about 11 laps to go. Lawrence is going to try to press his advantage now, going down into the chicane, and he's going to get that move done. Demote Furkheim back down into 10th.
Yeah, I think Furkheim, as you were saying, just falling victim. And as you can see there, Furkheim, I don't know if that's just iRacing being buggy, but he already does have front wing damage, and yeah, just loses it on the exit of that last corner. And yeah, I do think that he got damage elsewhere. I'm not sure where he grabbed that front wing damage from. I thought that might have just been iRacing being buggy on the replay, and possibly he got damage as a result of the spin, but no, I think just the result in lack of downforce and maybe getting on throttle too early, and these tires definitely falling off. There's so many things that go into it in this old little dog, and yeah, unfortunately just slips down to 10th place. Eric Wieseminski, though, up into 7th place as a result of that spin from Furk. I'm not sure he's going to be complaining at all with that. He's got Yuki Shirakawa, though, all over his rear wing, and I'm pretty sure the Japanese driver is going to pounce any minute now.
Yeah, I think he will as well. He's just trying to get a little bit of an error here out of Eric if he is able to do so. Going to tuck up behind in the draft here, rising up the hill into Michelin and Warsteiner, trying to see what they are able to get. Shirakawa waiting for that good launch here. A little bit of a wiggle coming off of the corner. I think that's going to deny him the opportunity to really get the move done here down to the hairpin, but color me wrong, here he comes.
Yeah, just absolutely saw his opportunity. Got the overspeed down into that chicane, and another textbook move from the Japanese driver, who once again is proving why he is one of the very best in this car. Although not the best Japanese driver in this grid so far, as once again we cut back to Yuki Mihara in first place, who I gotta say, I'm still super impressed with this guy, as not many people can say that they have taken it to Eddie Zamborski and won. And the guy has half the I rating, if not less.
Yeah, it is remarkable here from Yukimi Hara, and as I said, this is announcing his arrival here into the Formula 3.5 Championship. I think the number 20 going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Shirakawa.
That's Shirakawa, commentator's curse.
Once again, we had this yesterday, and we're doing it again. As anyone watched Radicals yesterday will know what we're on about. But yeah, Yuki Shirakawa coming out of, I believe this is turn 4 now, trying to get on power. And yeah, the car just disagreed with the way Yuki was handling that 3.5 and said, no, you're going into the wall. But luckily, Yuki managed to keep it just outside and only lost, I think, 2 places from that. So not the best or the worst thing that could have happened, but still inside the top 10.
Yeah, and that was a good amount of car control there from Yuki, and I think that more than anything read to me of just tires giving up a little bit. You mentioned tire wear, something you've really got to keep in mind about when you're driving this car. It just looked like there that the tires sliding across the track, not really able to get that maximum grip that they want. And I think that's going to inform Yuki's driving style. He's been very aggressive here in the early going. He may have to back it down a little bit more if he wants to try to be able to gain a couple of more positions and keep that car on the track.
Yeah, Yuki's now just got to calm down a little bit, as not only were his tyres probably, as you were saying, maybe ruined by his very aggressive driving style, but after that spin, they're most certainly going to be ruined now as well. My throat is having many issues today, and that's Enis Akin doing very similar things to what Keeman was doing about 10 laps ago, and I'm not sure if he's got damage from that as well. No, that wall seems to be made of rubber or something, because it's just not giving these guys damage whatsoever when they hit it, which I'm sure they're not complaining, but Akin not really losing much time or any places from that. I think he was close to Gallus in 15th, but now is sort of on his own in 16th place, as this is Dennis Verkheim trying to make a little bit of a recovery after his little endeavors earlier on in the race. Trying to... Oh, it's Quentin attacking, actually. My bad. Oh yeah, I completely forgot Verkheim had damage, and that's why he's slipping down the order. And yeah, unfortunately, Verkheim now just slipping further and further back after picking up that damage and making that mistake. And it's going to be a long road from here.
Yeah, it's going to be a very long road indeed for Verkheim. I would not be surprised if we see him drop down as Luke Brooker, looks like he is only about 3 seconds behind. And the pace we're seeing out of Verkheim, I don't think he's going to be able to hold that up. I think the Australian driver looks like he is going to be able to overtake here before the end of this race. I don't think Verkheim is in peril here of losing 14th. Is Baratu looks like he's about 8 seconds behind this battle, so that should be enough to buy him some time.
Yeah, I think he's got enough of a gap to play with, but he is losing just unexplainable amounts of time. He really is, and it's just a tiny bit of front wing damage, and that's how much it can affect these Formula cars. Whereas maybe if you got similar kind of damage in maybe a GT car, maybe if you got a bit of bodywork damage on the front right, it would not nearly do the damage that this is doing. It completely disturbs the airflow over the car. And not only does it give you horrible amounts of drag, it also disturbs the airflow going over and under the car and leaving whichever side of the car that has damage completely vulnerable. And I believe this is right side, so yeah, going through left-handers is going to be, well, absolute hell for him.
Yeah, you're going to have air traveling a little bit faster around the longer way of the corner, and if that air is traveling faster and those the wings and the little elements there are not designed. Yeah, we've had a problem here with Cao Young. Not sure, but that was going down into the Dunlop curve.
Yeah, he's not been a massive fan of that corner at all this race, as already he's getting very bumpy on the exit of, I believe that was turn 6, coming down into Dunlop curve. He's going to do maybe a similar thing to what he did before. No, the complete opposite, actually. Just completely locked the front left brake. Couldn't get it stopped in time. And a little bit of damage done there as finally Zamborski sets a quicker lap than Hara in front. But still not going to be enough, I'm afraid. That 5.5 gap is just a little bit too much. And, well, the battle that you're looking on your screen right now is realistically the only on-track battle, we have everyone else kind of spreading out as we come to sort of nearing the end of the race. Vandura producing a pretty good show so far, up 3 places from his starting spot, and is looking for one more against Cao Young.
And Young not doing too terribly bad as well. He's up 1 position from his starting spot of 11th, holding on to that top 10 position. Let's see here how they take their way through the AMG arena. This is the area particularly where we've seen multiple lines and multiple mistakes from drivers. It looks like there that Young and Vandura are both able to hold that out. But again, that gap starting to grow a little bit, starting to just breathe there in the middle of these 2 drivers. And I think that's a result of the aero wash that we've talked about. If I were Vandura here, I would wait, try to get a good run out of Warsteiner and get this move done going down into the final chicane.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I think that and probably the entry into turn 1 is definitely the best overtaking spot, as going through Dunlop curve as we just have now, it's only really a good overtaking opportunity if you're either right on the back of your rival in front of you or they make a mistake coming out of turn 6. And yeah, if you don't do that, it's not really a valid overtaking opportunity, as it's not heavy enough to send it down the inside. It's kind of, I think, a 3rd gear corner in these cars, so it's kind of edging on medium to low speed. But coming now down this back straight, Young seems to have bridged a gap enough to be safe for now, unless he gets an absolutely awful exit out of this final chicane and final corner. But no, seems to have nailed it and actually gained time on Vandura.
Yeah, the gap up to about 0.7 of a second here at this point. Vandura just not able to do, and there you can see a little bit of push of understeer on the exit of the Coca-Cola curve. That, again, we keep harping on, is that aero wash that Vandura is just not able to really get around here at this point. He's going to take a slightly later turn-in point coming down into turn 1. That's not going to help him. He's going to lose more time. The gap's now 8.5 tenths.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a combination of being in that dirty air is, one, ruining your front tyres, overheating them, and just producing more and more understeer as time goes on. And yeah, he's just also getting more and more frustrated behind the wheel of that car, as it's not doing anything it wants him to do.
Yeah, it's really not. He just can't get that grip down. You see there how late he's having to enter into the corners, really trying to get as much clean air as possible onto it, and really having to work the brakes. He's doing a lot of trail braking to get that car to rotate. It's very, very tricky in these aero-sensitive cars, and that's Vandura around.
And yeah, like I was saying, I just think that's a result of frustration. He was edging so close to Cao Young and then just started to slip away, and it really does mess with your brain as a driver. It's like, oh god, no, I can't let him get away. And unfortunately, he let his mind and tyres get the best of him as we ride on board with him now. Gets on power, gets on top of that curb, and just unsettles the car enough to send him round. An unfortunate incident for Vandura. He's still up 1 place from where he started, but definitely not where he wants to be, and that's Cao Young off.
Oh, as the curse comes back here on Cao Young, it looks like that's going to be going down into the NGK chicane, and that's going to put him in prime opportunity to have a little bit of a fight here with Luke Brooker.
Yeah, I think I should probably shut up and stop cursing everyone, but I'm just going to carry on anyway, as Cao Young making his 3rd mistake of the day there. Not sure if that was self-inflicted or somebody else was involved there. Maybe we can get a replay, who knows. Maybe Samuli is going to read my mind. Of course he is. Thank you, Samuli, you absolute legend. As we come down into this final chicane, I believe it's going to be self-inflicted. Maybe it's going to be similar to what we saw Keeman do earlier on in the race, and yeah, it is. On it's just that mid part of that last chicane. It just seems to be absolute hell for these cars.
Yeah, and I think that was a combination there of running a little bit aggressively on the curbing on the left side of the track. That compounded with just a hair too much speed through the corner. You saw that front end kind of have to scramble for grip there, and then the rear end just absolutely gave way. On these worn tires, you've really got to make sure you back up every corner and that you are very, very precise with your inputs, or you're going to have an incident like that.
Yeah, we've seen it so many times during this race, a surprising amount. The only corner that these drivers and car have actually really struggled with, as that's Hara setting a new PB. Not quite the fastest lap of the race just yet, as Furkheim losing another position there for 13th place. Really just slipping more and more, further and further down the grid. And as a driver, it's so painful as there's not really much you can do. As if he comes into the pits, he is just going to lose more positions. So he's kind of just got to firm it until the end of the race. As we're going to see what happened to Baha last lap coming into turn 1. Looking fine so far. Getting on throttle and just... yeah, just a little bit of a bootful too much. As somebody would say, too much mustard. And that's a combination of just being a little bit impatient and also those rear tyres absolutely being, well, destroyed.
Yeah, and with only 4 laps to go here, drivers are going to have to be cognizant of seeing all of that in front of them. They're going to have to be very, very careful on throttle input, as I think Baha just got a hair of wheel spin, and that was enough to send him around. Now he's got to watch out, though. Mordet and Cornu right behind. This could be a battle here for this 5th place position if Baha's not careful.
Yeah, he's going to be under pressure from the double-pronged French attack from Cornu and Mordan. Who's going to pounce first? Are these two actually quick enough and fast enough and patient enough as well to go for that overtake on Baha? They've not got long to do it. Or are they going to say, oh, well, we're going to go for a move anyway? And actually, Mordan has let Cornu through. I do not think that that was a mistake or anything at all. I believe that was strategic. I think Mordan thinks that Cornu has the pace to catch up to Baha and get them both up into 4th place. And we will see if that will work out. And that's Luke Brooker in the wall.
Oh, and that looks to be coming out of, I believe, the Dunlop curve down at the very south end of the track. I wonder here if this... No, you are right. That is actually coming through, I believe that's Michelin and Warsteiner. As he comes out there, just too much speed on exit, a little bit too much. And there it was.
Yeah, once again, the combination of those rear tyres and this car absolutely hating curbs. And yeah, just got absolutely swallowed up, and the car sent him into a wall. And we've seen that so many times, time and time again this season. And especially today as well, many people falling victim to, well, just these curbs. As you said, and that's Zamborski off the track.
Oh my goodness, Zamborski off the track. That is coming out of the Dunlop curve, and now that's going to be Macias able to take 2nd place away from the American driver.
You know what it is? You know how I said at the start of this race, he doesn't make mistakes?
Yep.
I've done it again. 2 days in a row. I just need to stop saying things about drivers. I really do. It just... oh, yeah. Just coming out of Dunlop a little bit too early on throttle. Loses the car. Manages to keep it just about where he wants it to be. Not actually ending up facing the wrong way or in a wall. But that has ruined his chances of winning this race and actually ending up in 2nd place. He's going to be... I mean, driving for his life now as we just come on to lap 22 out of 23. Hara starting his penultimate lap, and Macias now is going to be, well, as his fellow countryman would say, defending like a lion.
Yeah, he certainly will be at this point. Zamborski, we know he's got more pace, so the question's going to be is if he has enough in the tires to be able to make this work. A little bit of a wide run through corner 1, that's not going to be a good sign of what is to come, and a wiggle there coming through. Zamborski is pushing here at this point.
Yeah, he is really pushing. I don't think we've seen Zamborski push this hard all race, and maybe even all season. He's kind of had a lot of these races handed to him on a platter, but now he's got his work cut out for him. And we're going to see the real Eddie Zamborski come out to play within these next few laps, as we've not got long left to go. Hara just starting to come towards the end of this penultimate lap. I believe he's just coming up to the Schumacher S's now, just in front of these guys. And yeah, I think we've got a real battle for 2nd place on our hands. I thought that most of the battles were done and dusted for this race, but never mind. Eddie Zamborski said, oh no, I'm going to let loose and just have a bit of fun with Sergio Macias.
Well, and look at him here. Good line coming down through Warsteiner. He's going to get a good amount of tow here. The question's going to be is if he wants to throw this move now or if he wants to wait. He looks a little bit far behind to be able to make the move here. That's going to be Macias taking a hair of a defensive line down into the NGA chicane, just trying to block him off there. Now they're going to get on the power, and look how close Zamborski is as they come to the white flag.
Yeah, as we just start the final lap of the race, Macias is going to have his work cut out for him, but Zamborski is as well. Overtaking is not going to be easy, especially on Macias, who is going to want that second place so badly. To say that he beat Eddie Zamborski kind of on pace is going to be an absolute feat. He defends well into turn 1. Not much Zamborski can do there, as Zamborski just trying to pinch his nose, and that's a lapped car off up in front. These guys are going to have to be careful as Macias swerves out the way. It allows Zamborski to get past, and that's really unfortunate. I'm not sure which car that was. I think that was Vaben who just lost the car. Yes, it was the Scandinavian driver just coming up to turn 3. Just lost it on the exit, and Macias overreacted quite a bit. And yeah, just lost him that place, and unfortunately that's ruined our battle. Or has it, actually? I think that was Zamborski. Oh, no, never mind. I thought there was Zamborski locking up, but actually it was Macias coming into the hairpin. And yeah, that's rather spoiled our last lap duel between these two. Unless Macias can pull something out of his backside for this final sector, but I don't think he's going to do so, as Zamborski seems to be very, very strong through this final sector. But this battle for 5th place is not over just yet, as Marlon Mordan is going to try and find any way through he can. He let his fellow countryman through a few laps ago to try and catch up to Baja, but it didn't quite work out. But something that did work out very, very well is Yuki Mihara's race, as he crosses the start-finish line 12 seconds ahead of Eddie Zamborski to win here at Nürburgring. An absolutely stellar performance for, I believe it's his debut. Absolutely amazing, and that's the two Frenchmen off.
That's Cornu and Mordan, and that's going to allow for Eric. Eric's going to be able to get his way through. We're going to have a run to the line.
And it's going to be so close. Oh, the right to the line, and Mordan actually had front wing damage as well. Not quite sure what happened between these guys. And we're most definitely going to have to get a replay. Samuli, if you'll please do your thing. Thank you. We're going to get a replay of what happened into this final chicane. Oh, no. Is it going to be a send? It is. Oh, not quite, actually. And I believe... Oh, he actually put Cornu off.
He did. Cornu made a mistake there coming out of the corner. He spun around. That was going to be enough there for Mordan to see the opportunity, try to get his way on by. And Eric Wierzemowski saying just, oh my goodness, I'm going to be able to take this.
Yeah, maybe he would have liked to gain one more position, but I think he'll take just sneaking up the inside again. Excuse me, my throat has been playing up all stream long. I really do apologize. It's been horrible. But nevertheless, I believe Eric Wojciechowski will be pretty proud of that. I think gaining one place isn't exactly what he wanted to do for this race, but nevertheless, that would have sent the adrenaline going through the roof through those final few corners, and I can't imagine how Mordan was feeling.
Oh, exactly. And I have been in that position where you see a battle take place in front of you, you see that accident, and everything else just fades away from you, and you try to find that gap to be able to get your way on through. A great run here for Eric Wierzemowski.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. It's I think the worst is when you're doing a NASCAR race and the big one happens and you're right at the back, and you just got to find your way through. And Eric tried to only manage to gain one place. Maybe he would have liked to got more down as well. But yeah, I think he can leave this race with a smile on his face. But yeah, that was a fun way to end the race, I'd say, as Yuki Mihara has no idea what happened behind him. But nevertheless, he's going to be leaving with an even bigger smile than anyone else on this grid as he takes the victory, 12 seconds ahead of Eddie Zamborski. Sergio Macias rounds off your top 3 there on the podium. Omar Baja in 4th place. Marlon Mordan 5th place, just beating out Eric Wierzemowski in 6th place. Denny Cornu in 7th. Jay Lawrence up in 8th. Good comeback from him. Also from Yuki Shirakawa up in 9th place. Probably could have been a little bit more from the Japanese driver. He made a few mistakes. But nevertheless, and Cal Young rounding off your top 10. He probably should have had a better race as well after making quite a few mistakes. And Quintin Van Dora in 11th. Dennis Furkheim in 12th, just managing to hold off Baratel behind. And Ennis Akin in 14th. Takashi Shindoi in 15th place. Once again, my throat absolutely tearing me apart. Luke Brooker in 16th place, rounding out your people that finished on the lead lap. And then you have Anders Vaben in 17th, Daniel Gallus in 18th, I am Keeman in 19th, James Byrne in 20th, and Valara Tavares in 21st. Those two did not finish the race, and neither did Keeman, actually. Did not notice that he came into the pits and retired. But nevertheless, I'd say that was a pretty entertaining race. And, well, DJ Clark, what do you think?
Well, it's my first time, obviously, being able to cover the Formula 3.5 series. Absolutely incredible racing. Great stuff here from the Nürburgring. I can't imagine a better combination to see these drivers and cars on, and just happy to have been a part of it.
Yeah, it was a really fun race, I'm going to be honest. And, yeah, the Nürburgring, it's always fun to hot lap. It's always fun to race. It's always fun to watch. It is an absolute pleasure to have come here, and we've got time for just one interview. Eddie Zamborski is in the waiting room. I'm going to drag him in. Eddie Zamborski, welcome up to the commentary box. And after that race, it was a tough one right at the end, but you just managed to get second place after a little bit of luck with the back marker. But how are you feeling after that one?
I'm disappointed in myself. That was not a strong performance. I made a critical error on both qualifying laps, so I started deep in the field, which was fine. I had time, but with the way it is to follow here, and I don't want to say lack of passing opportunities, but there's definitely no easy passing opportunities. I basically disadvantaged myself, so just try to do the best I could. That last lap was entertaining, to say the least. I wanted to go inside, and then I saw Sergio go outside. I was like, if he's going outside, I better go outside. And then I saw his car start to slow down, so I was like, all right, I'll slow down. I hit the brakes, and nothing happened. So I was like, ooh, okay. So you got a car slide into your left and your competitor in front of you. I'm like, and Sergio went right, so I was like, I'll go middle and try and stop, and it worked. I mean, that was it. There was no thought process other than, well, if there's nothing here, hopefully I can slow the car down and not make this worse, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we were watching that whole thing live, and it was definitely a heart-in-mouth moment. We were all anticipating this great battle between Eddie Zamborski and Sergio Macias, and a lapped car just managed to throw a spanner into the works and make your life a tiny bit easier. But yeah, that was definitely adrenaline high moment. But we head to Phillip Island next week. We know that this has been an absolute staple in the 3.5 championship for, well, it seems like decades now. How are you feeling as we head there next week?
I hope the wind helps me down the front straightaway, because if you get a headwind, you're definitely not getting away, and you're going to spend the entire race checking your mirrors. So for my sake, I hope we get a tailwind. Push me down that straightaway, Phillip Island there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we hope for another entertaining race like this one, and yeah, it was action throughout the race. But Eddie, before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Absolutely. I'd like to thank you guys in the booth, Apex Racing TV in general, all the drivers, all the contributors, and I guess we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you, Zamborski. Always a pleasure to watch you race and have you up in the commentary box. That was your second place man, Eddie Zamborski, putting on a pretty entertaining performance for us all, to say the least. And yeah, DJ, what are your final thoughts before we wrap up here?
Well, I think going into the final race of the year at Phillip Island, I've got to agree with Eddie there about that tailwind is going to be a big help. I think next week out we are going to see some more fantastic battling, and my only hope is that the crosswind doesn't come back to play and we don't see a couple of more drivers spinning out. Yeah,
we saw plenty of drivers making many mistakes around this track, even some of the top runners as well. But Yuki Mihara, nevertheless, was one of those drivers who drove absolutely flawlessly and definitely deserved that win here today. And that's going to wrap it up here, folks. I've been Aaron Smith, joined in the commentary booth by the fabulous DJ Clark. And, of course, Samuli Kumo, who is an absolute gorgeous human being. And I've loved this race. We all have. I hope you have. And we will see you all for the final round next week at Phillip Island.